Now next one, we have to see the precautions. Okay, we have to take certain precautions when we are measuring national income by this expenditure method. All right. Now, first precaution is expenditure made on final goods and services. Final goods and services are taken into consideration, whereas expenditure on intermediate goods are not included in this method. I said expenditure on final goods and services are taken into consideration in this method, whereas expenditure on intermediate goods are not included in this method. Reason: because expenditure on such goods, that is intermediate goods, are already included in this goods, right? And if we are including such expenditure again, then it will cause or it will lead to double counting problem. Or we can say it leads to overestimation of national income. Okay, this is the first precautions that we have to take. Second one, B. Expenditure on second-hand goods. Expenditure on second-hand goods. Again, we should not consider this. It is not included in this method. Why? It is because such expenditure are already included when they were purchased originally. So again, if we are considering this in this method, it will lead to double counting. All right? Okay. And the third one is expenditure on financial assets like shares will not be again included in the estimation of national income using this method, because such expenditure are just, we can say, paper transactions. Instead of paper transactions, we can also say it is just an ownership transactions. It does not cause any productive transactions. So, this one is also not included in this method. Then we have expenditure on transfer payment. Expenditure on transfer payments. This one I have said so many times other two methods, as well as in the beginning of my video. Expenditure on transfer payment, right? Expenditure on transfer payments are also not included. Why it is not included? Because again, in this production, activity is not taking place. This is just an unearned money, right? Okay. Then we have production for self-consumption. Expenditure incurred on production for self-consumption. So this one is included. This one is included in this method. Why it is included here? Because see here, production. They are doing production. Production activity is taking place here. Okay. Then we have imputed rent on owner-occupied house. Imputed, estimated. It is estimated, okay. Rent on owner-occupied house is included in this method. Now see here, in this, house owner is using house for self. In this, he is not incurring any sorts of expenditure, right? He is making payment of rent to himself. But the house is producing here a service, and this value of such service is included in this method. All right. Okay. So these are few precautions that we have to take while measuring national income using expenditure method. So in briefly, see here, recapitulations. Expenditure on final goods and services are taken into consideration. Expenditure on intermediate goods are not taken into consideration here. Why? Because expenditure on such goods are already included in this one. If we are including this again, then it leads to overestimation of national income, right? B, expenditure on second-hand goods are not included in this because such expenditure are already included when they were purchased originally. Then next one, expenditure on financial assets like shares. Okay, these are not included in this method. Why it is not included in this method? Because in this, we can say production activity is not taking place or productive transactions are not happening in this. It is just a paper transactions or ownership transactions. Then expenditure on transfer payments. These are not included. Again, we can say production activity is not taking place in this. And I have said before also, transfer payments will not be included in the estimation of national income by any of the other two methods. Okay. Then E, expenditure on production made for or production which is done for self-consumption. This is included. Why? Even if production is meant for self-consumption, it is included because here production is taking place. Production activity is taking place. And finally, we have imputed, that is estimated rent on owner-occupied house. See here, owner-occupied house. House which is occupied by the owner himself or herself. So I said here, even if Rawahi is not incurring any sort of expenditure here, but the house is providing a service, right? And the value of such service is included in the estimation of national income by this method. Alright? Okay. Now, next, what I will do is, I'll take up one numerical problems and I'll show you how to use the theoretical information in solving numerical illustrations. Alright? So one numerical illustration on this method. Okay. Calculate national income using the following data. Now, it's given here national income. Right? So this national income is NNP at factor cost. Right? So we need to find out this one. Now see, you need to observe each data carefully. Okay? Now see how to go about it. We said private final consumption expenditure, government final consumption expenditure. These two forms the final consumption expenditure. Then we have gross domestic capital formation, comprises of two, right? Gross domestic fixed capital formation and change in stock. And finally we have net export. So all these things, final consumption expenditure, gross domestic capital formation, net export, the summation of all these expenditure will give us GDP at market price. Right? So first we will go for private final consumption expenditure, which is given 600 here, plus government final consumption expenditure is given 100 here. Then we have plus gross domestic capital formation. In this, gross domestic fixed capital formation is not given. Instead of it, what is given here? Net domestic fixed capital formation. This is given here. Right? See here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need to take this one, right? Okay. So net domestic capital formation is given. So what you have to do here, net domestic fixed capital formation plus net has to be changed into gross, right? So net domestic fixed capital formation plus CFC will make you gross domestic fixed capital formation. So net domestic capital formation is given here 70 plus CFC is given how much here? Depreciation. Depreciation is given here 14. Then we have plus change in stock. So change in stock is minus 10. And finally we have net export plus, so instead of net export it is given net import here. That means net export is the difference between export minus import, right? So we can say here export, that is 0, then minus net import is given 20, right here 20. Alright, so when you go for it, you will be getting 754 here. And this is what? Summation of all these things will make this one, right? So this is GDP at NP. Alright, now what we have to do? This is the expenditure method, right? Now we need to convert all these things into NNP at factor cost. So see here, NNP P at factor cost is equal to gross domestic product at market price. So gross net, remember depreciation. So we have to do minus CFC, then domestic into national. So domestic into national, what we have to do? We have a concept called NFIA, right? So plus NFIA, then we have market price into factor cost. So market price into factor cost, we have to do minus NIT. We will be getting national income. So GDP at market price is 754 minus CFC is given 14 plus. Now this one comprises of 2, right? NFIE is what? It is the difference between net factor earned from abroad, net factor from abroad minus net factor income paid to abroad. Okay, so here income. So the difference between these two will make NFIA. Now in the problems, which one is given here? So we have net factor income to abroad, it is given. Alright, so to abroad means this one. It is given here. Okay, so now what I will do here is minus plus net factor income from abroad is 0, and which is given here, net factor income to abroad, which is given here 10, minus NIT, net indirect taxes. So is it given? Yes, it is given here, net indirect taxes, that is 60. Alright, now how much you will get? You will be getting this much. So this is your NNP at factor cost, which is nothing but national income. Alright, okay, so this is just an example of how we can make use of the theoretical information into solving numerical illustrations. Okay, so like this you have to go for it. Now see here, all the 3 methods of measuring national income explanation is over in detail. Out of these 3 methods, this last method, that is expenditure method, is widely used method or approach for measuring national income. Is that clear? And one thing, when you are calculating numerical problems under all the 3 methods, you will be getting the same answer. Is that clear? Okay. So this is all about the 3 methods of measuring national income.